Hello, everyone, and welcome to Survey of Church History for the summer. Looking forward to working through the course with you. I hope that it will be enjoyable. It will be that it'll be interesting. There'll be some things here that you did not know, and some things that will help you spiritually as well, not just as far as learning a grade, but maybe some things that will help you in your walk as a Christian. In this video, basically I want to go over some of the general outline of the course for this summer, and some of the things that are required. It's a very short course, 6 weeks, and it's going to go by very rapidly. And so at the outset, I want to encourage you to be prepared for how quickly this course is going to move. Essentially, we're trying to pack a 16-week semester into 6 weeks. That means that we are covering a lot of material. There will be a lot of assignments each week that will need to be completed. And it's really important to stay on top of everything so that you don't get overloaded and get behind. Let's begin by talking about what this course is about. So what are we going to look at here for the next 6 weeks? Essentially, as is seen in the church history description, we are looking at how Christianity has developed over the past almost 2,000 years. So from the time of the end of the first century, essentially, to the present. What has taken place? What are the things that have developed? And also with that, who are the people? Who are the people that make that up? Unfortunately, of course, a lot of people are lost to history, and so we only remember the major individuals. A lot of Christians have died and remain nameless. We don't know who they were, where they were from, but there are some people who've had some very important influence, and we'll talk about them. We'll talk about different movements in Christianity. We'll be using that term very broadly, and so there might be some times where you might not look at a specific group as Christian, or think of them personally as Christian, but we're trying to understand broadly here how Christianity has developed and changed. We'll be looking at a variety of beliefs, again, using Christian belief very broadly. In the scheme of 2,000 years of history, there are a lot of things that perhaps personally we might not agree with, but there are still things that people who have identified themselves as Christians have held and believed. Personally, as a Christian, I believe that the Bible should be the final guide on making those decisions. But as a historian, I think it's also important for us to look at those beliefs and understand them. And I'll say more about that in the introduction to studying church history video, about why the study of church history is useful. We'll also be looking at a variety of different practices. What are some things that Christians have? What are some things Christians did at various times? But also, it's not just meant to be a focus on what happened then and there, but also to think about the here and now. Certainly, we have to be careful how we approach taking the past and using it to speak to the present. But I think it's also important sometimes for us to consider how things in the present, when it comes to Christianity, developed over time. And so some of that has been positive, some of that is negative. And so I think that, thinking about our current position, as we stand as Christians in the 21st century, what is it that has come into Christianity that maybe doesn't need to be there, maybe needs to be removed? And so we'll be looking at all of those issues over the next 6 weeks. And that's reflected in the course objectives. One of the things I would encourage you to do as soon as possible is take a look at the course syllabus, which is available on Blackboard under syllabus. There's also some policies there regarding online learning, online participation, and some other things related there. But one of the things that you will see on the syllabus is the objectives. What is it we're attempting to accomplish in this course? What is it that you should be able to do once you have finished that? Well, you know, as you would expect, based on what we just talked about, you should be able to, by the end of this course, talk about who are some of the major people, what are some of the major things that happened, you know, how have views on politics and practice and culture and church teachings, how have they changed and developed over time? How has that had an impact on the world around us? How has Christianity influenced philosophy and politics? But also, how have those things influenced Christianity? There's kind of a back and forth in Western culture between those two. And so, you know, thinking about how that has happened is also useful as well. And then finally, there will be several assignments that will ask you to not only think about these things, but then also put them into words. And so by the end of this course, over these 6 weeks, hopefully you'll be able to do those things, to demonstrate those things. And the way that you will demonstrate those things is through a variety of approaches. So some of the major ways that you will demonstrate your ability to do those things is through a couple of the assignments that you will have to do. First, there will be reading quizzes based on the textbooks. There will be reflective essays that will ask you questions about the material that we've been discussing, and then there will also be some exams throughout the course. There are additional requirements that we'll mention more about in here in a minute, but we'll talk about these first. So the textbooks that you need for this class is the 2-volume Story of Christianity by Justo Gonzalez. Very readable overview of church history. And so if you have no knowledge of church history, if history is a challenge to you, I think Gonzalez will be something that should be kind of interesting, something very readable, something that will hopefully read pretty quickly, but something that you need to get those books as soon as possible. They are available in a variety of formats, but you should be able to order them through the Blackboard store for this course, but you need to get them as soon as possible if you have not already picked them up, because there are reading quizzes this first week, and so you want to be able to complete those. But you know, something that I think are pretty useful textbooks. Over the course of the semester, we'll be going through a variety of different periods, looking at how Christianity has changed over these periods. You know, as we move our way from the 2nd century to the present. We won't say too much this summer about the 21st century, simply because we don't have much time, and we won't say too much about the 1st century or the backgrounds to Christianity this summer, simply because we don't have that much time. But there are pages in Gonzalez. I have some other videos on YouTube from previous times that I've done this course in a larger setting in a full semester, and so if you're interested, you can find them on that channel as well. But this will be the focus for this semester. Now, Gonzalez breaks down church history largely in a chronological way, and so I'm having you read and watch the videos because it's 2 different ways of looking at this material, and the repetition is meant to help you grasp and really internalize some of the things that are discussed. Gonzalez, as I said, chronologically develops this. Our focus is going to be slightly different. We are going to focus on a chronological approach, right? So we'll talk about the 2nd century and the 3rd century and then the 4th century and then the medieval period and onward the whole way down to the present. But within each of those sections, each of those chronological moments, we will be looking at 4 major topics that will help us organize this material, and then sometimes we'll talk about a 5th as well, as it's important. But thematically looking at these chronological periods, bringing things together to help us see some things around certain particular topics. So first of all, thinking about the relationship between Christianity and politics. How have Christians interacted with political powers? How have Christians engaged in political power? How have political power tried to suppress Christianity? So all sorts of things related to politics and Christianity, and really kind of trying to see a way in which this has had a significant impact on Christianity. Another topic that we'll be focusing on is culture and society. Sometimes there might be a little bit of an overlap between politics and culture and society, but essentially, when we're talking about culture and society, the ideas are, how have Christians thought about how they should be in the world? How should they participate in the larger society? Should they be actively engaged in the world? Should they be separate from the world? And sometimes that does cover politics, but other times that covers what we might call popular culture. Sometimes that includes thinking about literature and other aspects of society. How, as a Christian, have people answered that question of being involved in society? Thirdly, we'll look at doctrine in each of these periods, talking about new doctrines that developed during a specific period, changes in doctrine over a specific period. How have people understood what the church's teaching is about certain subjects, or how have they talked about what should be the basic beliefs of Christianity? The 4th major category is that of practice. What have Christians done? Sometimes that will be new practices that were invented. Sometimes it will be reinterpretation of practices that have been done for centuries. So for example, the Lord's Supper, we'll look at Lord's Supper, communion, Eucharist, all sorts of terms representing the same idea. We'll look at how has the views, the practice of communion, the Eucharist, changed over the centuries. Right? So that's one that we definitely will look at. I mentioned the 5th category, kind of a more minor category, and that's geographic spread. How has Christianity spread throughout the world? This will be a minor topic. We'll bring it up at different times, certain historical moments where it would be important to know some things related to that issue. That brings us back to assessing our objectives. One thing that I didn't mention earlier was the discussion posts, and so as we break down each of these, we'll talk about discussion posts and how discussion posts fit into that. So the reading quizzes are an important part of this component, the important component of the grade. For the reading quizzes, you'll take them online through Blackboard under quizzes, or quizzes and exams, I believe is the thing. It will be 5 multiple choice questions based on the readings. On Blackboard, there is a schedule broken down by weeks and then also broken down by topic with a reading list. Read these pages out of the Gonzalez textbook. And so there are quizzes based on each of those readings. You will have 10 minutes to complete the quiz. Once you go to take it, you can take it only once. If you want to get the full amount of points, you have to take at least 20 of the 24 possible quizzes. Hopefully everyone will get a total of 5 out of 5 on each of those quizzes. But if you take more than 20, each of those additional quizzes will add additional points onto your score. So it would be probably worth your while if you're concerned about additional points, taking those extra quizzes. The quizzes will be based on, as I said, the readings, but what to focus on? Well, also on Blackboard is a document called Key Things to Know. You should find it in the left-hand column there. It gives you a list of specific people or topics or texts, etc. The questions in the quizzes on Blackboard will be drawn from those topics. All right, and so use that as a guide to your reading, so that these are the things I want you to focus on. And so as you prepare for the quiz, use that as a guide. It is also helpful to use as in preparing for your exams. But I'll give you a more specific study guide, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So, reading quizzes every week, usually 4 to 5. Some weeks there might only be 3. But there is listed on Blackboard, and then under the quizzes and exams, it tells you what quizzes are due by which date. So pay attention to the schedule, the key things to know, and the list in Blackboard. The quizzes are live, so if you want to read ahead, you can read ahead and take them. But once you take them that first time, it's going to record your grade. So make sure you're ready to go when you go to take the reading quiz. So quizzes are a component. Another component, each week there are reflection essays due. Essentially, the reflection essay due each Sunday, except for week 6, it asks you to think about a particular person or topic, something that we covered that week in the course. Talk a little bit about what it is, right? Give a summary, and then reflect on that, analyze it. What does this tell us? What's important to know about this? Why should somebody in the 21st century know about this person or this text or this practice? Right? This information is available on Blackboard under assignments, giving you an idea of when they're due and topics. Also, if you click on the links, there is a grading rubric that will let you know what I'm looking for and what to how it's going to be graded. There's a reflection essay due each week for the 6 weeks, so there's 6 essays due. You only need to do 5 of them. So you can choose which 5 you want to do. If you don't want to do the first one, that's fine. If you don't want to do the last one, that's fine. If you do all 6 of them, there will be additional points added to your final grade. So I'll pick the 5 best grades and then add additional points onto your final grade as well. So keep up with those. There's 1 due each week. Just a brief reflection on what it is that you found interesting that particular week. What is it that you thought was interesting and how it applies to contemporary life. There will be 3 exams throughout this course. 2 of them will be unit exams. They are due at the end of week 2, and another one due at the end of week 4. I will provide you study guides. They'll be available on Blackboard under the study guides link, telling you some information to cover. But both exams will be essay questions. There will be 2 essay questions you will have to answer. The computer will randomly pick from a bank of questions, and you will need to write 2 essays. These exams are open book, open notes, meaning that any notes that you've taken off of videos, off of the readings, you can use as source. Those can help you as you prepare. And so that's an important thing why use that key things to know. And then the study guide will help you, will focus on, here are some people, here are some events that you should know in order to answer those questions, as well as here are possible topics that will come up. You'll have 80 minutes to complete the unit exams at the end of week 2 and at the end of week 4. 80 minutes to complete them. At the end of week 6, due June 17th. Due June 17th, there will be a final exam. It will essentially be the same type of format, but it will be a little bit longer, and you will have a little bit longer in time to complete it. You'll have 1 hour and 50 minutes, so 110 minutes to complete that. It too will be essay questions and is open book, open notes. Also, each week you will be required to do discussion posts listed on, available on Blackboard under discussions. Each week you are required to do 2 to 4 posts. It is listed under the weeks on the discussion board how many you need to do. Essentially, in week 1 and week 6 you only need to do 2. Throughout the rest you need to do 4. Your posts could be about a variety of things. It could be a response to my questions. There are at least 4 questions every week that I put out as possible things for you to write about. So if you just want to write responses to those 4 of those, that's fine. You can respond to posts made by other students. If there is something particularly interesting in a week that you found interesting, that isn't addressed by one of the questions, you can write about that, right? So there's a lot of leeway there. The only thing I'm looking for is that it's something of substance. I don't want you to just say, I thought X was interesting. Well, what is it about X that was interesting? Or why is this something that somebody should know about? If you're writing in response to someone else, you need to say more than just, I agree, or me too. Right? Those won't count toward your discussion grade for that week. You must say something of substance. Finally, also for the semester, you will need to submit notes on the videos. This will demonstrate that you have watched the particular videos for the week, that you have engaged that and watched the videos, taken notes. There are links to playlists for each week on Blackboard. It will take you to a YouTube playlist for that week, available under course content. And so course content broken down by week. So week 1, you click on that. It gives you a breakdown of the week and things that are required. So one of those links takes you to YouTube to a playlist. The videos are broken down. Most of the videos are broken down into 15 to 25 minute sections. Sometimes a little bit longer, maybe sometimes a little bit less. All of those you need to watch all of those, but they're broken up so you don't have to sit there and for an hour and a half watch an entire section of videos. But in order to demonstrate that you've watched the videos, you must submit notes on the videos. You can either do that as one whole document, or you can break it up by sections. So here are the videos on the 2nd century, here are the videos on the 4th century. You must submit those notes through Blackboard by the end of the week. They can be a typed document, right, typed it into a word processor, or a photograph of a picture of your handwritten notes. You can either submit them through Blackboard under student note submission. You could create a document through Google Docs that you share with me. You can email pictures to me of your notes if you want to go that route. One thing to note, though, is the notes must be more than just the bullet points of the PowerPoints. And so a lot of them will be like this, where it's a PowerPoint with different notes on it. I want to see more than just what those PowerPoint bullets are. This will prove to me that you have engaged the material, but it will also be very, very helpful because those notes you can use to write your essays from, and you will need more than just the bullet points, because sometimes the bullet points are very generic, and you will need more, to say about that than what you just get from the bullet points. So in order to get credit for those notes, it must be more than just the bullet points on the PowerPoints. So make sure to submit those at the end of every week. So each Sunday for weeks 1 through 5, and by June 17th, Friday, June 17th for week 6. Here's the grading breakdown, also available on Blackboard in the syllabus. It gives you an idea of how much each thing is weighted. I simply add up points for a total. And so things are not weighted where discussion posts are 20% of your grade or anything like that. It's just simply adding up of points. So those additional points you might get through the quizzes or through something else, that's how they will just be added in to that grade. This gives you an idea of the breakdown of 900 to 1,000 points is an A, 800 to 899 is a B, 7 to 799 is a C, etc. Pay attention to the due dates, please. Yes, in some cases there might be a reason for an exception, and if something comes up, please get in contact with me as soon as possible. It is better to get in contact with me sooner than later. But pay attention to the due dates. If you let things go, it will pile up, and then you will put yourself in a position where you can't catch up. All work for weeks 1 through 5 is due the following Sunday by the end of the day. So, we're starting class Monday. The next Sunday, week 1 is due. The next Sunday, week 2 is due, etc. Except for week 6. Week 6, the information is due Friday. All right, so pay attention to that. It's due Friday, not Sunday. Friday. So keep up with those assignments. Make sure to be completing those each week. A couple of things regarding policies, things to keep in mind as well. We're online. Blackboard sometimes doesn't work. Sometimes YouTube might not load right, etc. If something doesn't work, right, and it's really not working, right, you've tried it several times throughout the day, let me know as soon as possible. Let me know as soon as possible so that I can make adjustments if I need to, or if there's something that I can, if I need to do. So really keep up with, really contact me as soon as possible if if there's an issue. If after I have graded something and returned it to you, like a reflection essay, for example, if there is something that you are concerned about, or if you feel like I missed something or didn't take something into consideration when I graded something, feel free to get in contact with me. I'm more than willing to go back and regrade something and double check and make sure that I graded it fairly. But you will need to contact me within 3 days after it's returned to you. I try to get graded work back to you within a week, sometimes quicker. Most of the quizzes are graded automatically, and so you can know by the end of, as soon as you finish the quiz, it's graded automatically. It'll tell you what your grade is. But if you have a grading dispute, you must get in contact with me within 3 days after it has been graded. That is a university policy. So get in contact with me in writing about that. Please make sure that any sort of work that you do is your own. Anything you turn in must be either your own work, or you have given the proper citation for something. For the assignments in this class, you do not need any sort of outside materials to complete this course. All you need is the videos, your notes, the books. Anything else other than that must be properly cited if you use it. For the reflection essays, I'm not asking you to do, it's not a research paper. All I'm asking you to do is pick something we talked about during a specific week and then write about it, right? And so that means you should be only using your notes, the books, your brain, right? But if you do use something outside of that, you have to cite it properly. This is a matter of faithfulness to what you're claiming, right? You know, integrity, very, very important that we be people of integrity, especially as Christians. And so make sure that work that you submit is your own, or you have properly identified how other people's work has influenced what you have submitted. If you are in the need of academic accommodations, please make sure to get in contact with Project Key as soon as possible. Probably in a situation like this, you might need, for example, extra time on assignments if you have a documented situation. But you know, and this probably is something that you've already taken care of. But make sure that if this is a situation, if there are accommodations that need to be made, that they are made as soon as possible, so we can make sure that, especially how quickly this course moves, that you are on the road to success and not going to get behind. One last thing I want to talk about is that the videos for this class, other than this one, were recorded from a Survey of Church History course in a previous semester. Sometimes you will hear of different requirements or things at the beginning of a recording. Anything mentioned as far as assignments in those videos, you can ignore. Only what is in the syllabus, what is available on the Blackboard site, what we've talked about in this video, only those things are what you're required to do. You do not need to submit anything else. So please, if there is any confusion about that, I apologize, but get in contact with me if you have any questions. And that's true of anything this summer. If there's something that comes up, by all means, get in contact with me as soon as possible. I won't be holding specific office hours simply because of it being summer and everybody being online, but I will be checking my email frequently. If there is a need to meet in person or to have a phone call, feel free to email me and we can set something up. You know, you can certainly also call Faulkner to the Bible department. They can get me a message if necessary, but email is going to be the best way to contact me originally, and then we can set up a phone call if necessary, or it might be something we can simply handle through email. I look forward to interacting with you this summer. Try to be on the discussion boards, try to talk with you. Please take the time to introduce yourself on the discussion boards in the introduction board, just to let me know a little bit about who you are, what your goals are, any interest you have in church history or anything like that. It's difficult sometimes, of course, in an online environment to get to know students that well, but I do want to try and get a little bit of knowledge and interaction with you. I look forward to a great summer course, and by all means, if there's anything I can do to help you out, please get in contact with me.